Imagine a child who never had to study for a math test, a child whose report card was a consistent, effortless string of A's, and whose parents bragged about their natural talent at every dinner party. To the outside world, this child was a success story in the making, a future pioneer, a leader, a person for whom the world had no limits. You were told that you were special, you were told that you had potential, and for a long time you believed it. Fast forward 15 years. That same prodigy is now an adult sitting in a dimly lit apartment, staring at a cursor, blinking on a blank document. You have the degrees, you have the intellect, you have the ambition, yet you find yourself physically unable to start. The simplest tasks feel like climbing a mountain without oxygen. You are exhausted, not from working, but from the sheer weight of not working. This is the gifted child burnout. It's a quiet epidemic affecting millions of high achievers who hit an invisible wall in their mid-20s and simply stopped. To understand why your potential became your prison, we have to look at how a childhood of perfection rewired your brain to fear the very thing you were once best at: effort. The problem starts with a fundamental misunderstanding of intelligence. Most children are rewarded for their hard work, their persistence, and their ability to overcome obstacles, but gifted children are often rewarded for their identity. When you are constantly told you are smart or talented, your brain receives a massive dopamine hit for just being you. This creates what Stanford psychologist Dweck calls a fixed mindset. You begin to believe that intelligence is a static, finite resource. You either have it or you don't. And if you have it, things should be easy. This creates a dangerous neurological paradox. If you believe you are smart, then having to work hard at a task feels like an admission of failure. In your mind, effort becomes proof that you aren't actually gifted. Therefore, challenge isn't an opportunity to grow. It's a direct threat to your status. Inside the brain, the reward system becomes distorted. Usually, dopamine is released during the process of solving a problem, but for the gifted child, dopamine is only released at the finish line, the trophy, the grade, the praise. When you enter the adult world, where the easy A no longer exists and tasks become complex and messy, the dopamine dries up. Your brain scans a difficult task, realizes there is a risk of failure, and the amygdala, the brain's fear center, triggers a total shutdown to protect your ego. You aren't lazy, you're biologically protecting yourself from the pain of being average. But the pressure wasn't just academic. Giftedness often comes with a hidden social contract. Because you were the smart one, you were also the easy child. You were the one parents didn't have to worry about. I say, this perceived independence was actually a form of emotional isolation. You learned very early that your value was tied to your lack of problems. You became a high-functioning people pleaser. You didn't perform for your own satisfaction. You performed to maintain the pride and stability of those around you. Many gifted children grow up to be the peacekeepers or the family therapists. You developed an advanced emotional radar, scanning the room for tension, scanning your parents' faces for the slightest hint of disappointment. You stepped into adult roles before you even hit high school. By the time you reached adulthood, you had no idea what you actually wanted because you spent your entire life being a library of other people's expectations. Now, as an adult, that potential feels like a lead vest. Every small task feels like a referendum on your entire worth. If this email isn't perfect, does it mean I was never smart? If this project fails, who am I? The burnout isn't exhaustion from labor, it's exhaustion from the constant high-stakes performance of being you. The anatomy of this paralysis is built on the fear of mediocrity. To the gifted child, I know average is synonymous with worthless. You have entered a cycle of achievement anchoring, where your self-esteem is physically welded to your trophies. You feel that if you aren't constantly excelling, you are sinking. This is why procrastination becomes your only form of safety. If you don't start, you can't fail. If you don't try, you can still tell yourself, I could have been great if I'd only applied myself. It is a tragic defense mechanism that keeps your gifted identity intact at the cost of your actual life. So, how do you break the cage? To heal, you have to do the one thing that terrifies you. You have to become average. You have to dismantle the mirror that only reflects your achievements and look at the human being underneath. Neuroplasticity tells us that the brain can be retrained, but it requires a radical shift in perspective. You have to intentionally practice being bad at something, start a new hobby where you are the slowest in the room, learn a language you'll never master. This forces your brain to recouple dopamine with effort rather than results. You are teaching your nervous system that it is safe to struggle, safe to fail, and safe to be ordinary. True intelligence isn't the ability to get the right answer on the first try. True intelligence is the ability to fail, learn, and try again without losing your sense of self. You were never meant to be a trophy for your family or a success story for your school. Your potential isn't a debt you owe to society. It's a resource for you to use or not use as you see fit. Stop trying to be gifted and start trying to be curious. Curiosity doesn't care about grades. Curiosity doesn't fear a blank page. It only cares about the next step. Acceptance of your own humanity isn't a defeat. It is the ultimate freedom. You are not a high-performance engine designed for constant output. You are a person with a nervous system that needs safety and grace. If you grew up as the smart kid, when did you first hit your wall? When did the praise stop feeling like fuel and start feeling like a cage? Share your story in the comments below. Let's redefine what it means to be capable together. Subscribe to join us on this journey of understanding. The horizon is wide and frightful, and for the first time the path is yours to walk, not to conquer but simply to experience. You are enough exactly as you are, without the titles, without the A's, and without the perfection. Before we truly end this conversation, I caught a thought that we often overlook. When we talk about gifted child burnout, we aren't just talking about a loss of productivity or a lack of motivation. We are talking about mourning. Inside every adult who was once the hope of the family, there lives a ghost. It's the ghost of that perfect version of you, the one you were supposed to become. That version of you is successful, wealthy, world-changing. They never stumble, and they always have the right answer. And every time you sit down at your desk or try to start a new project, that ghost sits right there next to you. It looks over your shoulder at your blank screen and shakes its head in disappointment. The ultimate trap of being gifted is that you didn't fall in love with life. You fell in love with your image. You spent years trying to live up to a version of yourself that other people invented when you were 10 years old. This paralysis you feel right now, it isn't laziness. It is a protest. It is your living, breathing self rebelling against your ideal self. Your body is literally telling you, I will no longer feed this ghost. I want to simply exist, not spend my life proving I have the right to. The act of sacred betrayal / to move forward, you have to commit an act of sacred betrayal. You have to betray the expectations of your parents, your teachers, and most painfully, your own childhood fantasies of greatness. We've been conditioned to think that discipline is the ability to force yourself to work through the pain. No, for the burnt out achiever, real discipline is the ability to forgive yourself for not being a machine. It is the strength to say, yes, I did very little today. Yes, I was mediocre today. And that does not make me a failure. True freedom doesn't start when you finally find a hack to be the best again. It starts when you realize you don't need to be special to be worthy of love. The world will not stop spinning if you do your work slowly, messily, and without a trophy waiting for you at the end. Your new metric for success / let's agree on a new coordinate system. From this moment on, your success is no longer measured by the result. It is measured by the honesty of your effort. If you sat down and wrote one terrible, unusable sentence, that is a victory. If you went to the gym and did only 5 minutes because that's all you had in you, that is a victory. If you simply survived the day without hating yourself for being unproductive, and that is a massive, titanic victory. We spent so long running this marathon for a gold medal that we forgot how to just go for a walk. So now when you close this video, don't rush off to fix your life. Just sit in the silence for a moment. No plans, no goals, no expectations. Allow yourself to be just a person. Now we can truly say goodbye. Take care of the human being, not the project. I'll see you in the next one.